All right, hi guys. Today I'm going to show you how to make a super simple elastic bracelet. When I first started beading, I hated making elastic bracelets. They never stayed tied, they constantly broke, and it was just not worth doing. But since then, I have fallen in love with elastic bracelets. They're one of those things that you can make and they go on and off super easily. And the way I do them now, they last forever. I have a couple of elastic bracelets that I wear fairly regularly, maybe not daily, but very regularly. And they're like 10 years old. They're perfectly fine. The trick is, one, don't stretch it like crazy to get it on, and two, don't play with your jewelry. So if you're somebody who plays with your jewelry constantly, maybe they're not the best thing for you. But they're great as a gift because you don't have to have an exact measurement of a wrist. They go on and off pretty easily, and they're super fun. So I'll show you a couple examples of things that are already made, and then I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make one. I have not done a video like this, so please bear with me. I'm going to try to make sure that it stays in focus and that you guys get all the information you need. I'm going to go over all the tools I'm going to use, and I will make sure that I put links to where you can buy them on my website in the comments below. So yeah, I think that's it. We'll get started. So here is one. And you can see, so I told you I don't actually knot my elastic. I crimp mine. So here's the whole bracelet. And then right up here is, let's see, focus. That little silver bead is a crimp cover. So there's a tiny crimp under there. So instead of knotting my elastic, I actually crimp it and then cover it with a crimp cover so it looks like a little bead. Looks seamless. So here are some of mine. This is one of my bracelets. It's like some ridiculous amount of years old, but it's crimped right under there. So the crimp covers obviously come in different sizes. I carry two different sizes. Here's one that you can't even see. I mean, it's gold beads, and then I've got that little crimp cover behind it, so, or in the middle, you can't even see it. Yeah. And then if you want to do a charm, like on this one, it's opposite the crimp cover here to there. But on some of them, like this is the same pattern all the way around. I just hung my charm right next to the crimp cover. Looks a little more seamless that way. So there's that. Okay, so what I'm going to use today is Stretch Magic. So of course it's going to be backwards for you guys, but it's Stretch Magic. And I sell it in two different diameters. So this one, where are we, is the 1 millimeter. This is the thicker of the two options that I sell, and I always suggest if you can get this through your beads, use the 1 millimeter. It's thicker, so it's going to last longer. It'll have more stretch and give to it. But obviously it's not going to fit through everything. So we have the 0.7 right there. So the 0.7 is a little bit thinner. It's still really strong, but it's thinner. It just has a little less wear and tear to it. So let's get started. Okay, so I'm gonna start with the 1 millimeter, which is thicker, and I have strung up. Okay, now bear with me. I'm hoping I don't lose focus. Here, let's see. Where are you? Oh, we'll try this. Okay. So this is a bracelet that I have strung up. I've got Z beads on here, the black and white ones, and then the blue are some beautiful sodalite nuggets. So here's, let's see, maybe I can do that. No, how am I gonna put this? All right, so that I can see. Second, that works. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is, oh, by the way, this is a bead stopper. So it looks kind of like Mickey Mouse, and you just squeeze his little ears and it opens. So this is a great tool to have in your arsenal when you're beading. You just kind of clip it onto one end and it keeps the beads from falling off. So if you have to get up, you can put one on both ends. These I had prepped, I just had one on each end of both of my bracelets. So that's there. Now, I told you the elastic and then the bead stopper. Okay, so measuring. So this is how I measure my elastic bracelets. So I put it on, and for me, I like my bracelets to be pretty snug. So what I do is I put it around my wrist, and I just make sure that the last two beads pretty much are touching. If I can lift up like this and there's like a whole bunch of room with the beads still touching, I take some off. And I'm just now noticing right here, I am missing a spacer. So I'm going to double check that I have all my spacers and come back to it. But that's kind of how you measure. And then yes, double check always to make sure that your pattern is good. All right, so again, to take this off, I'm just going to open and take it off. And then I'm missing a spacer here, so let's put one on. All right, on we go, Z-bead. Okay, so to put the crimp on, what I'm gonna do is I'm going to put this big giant 2mm crimp on there. Now, unfortunately, I can only get these right now in gold color, but it's okay because you can always cover them with a silver crimp cover. But on this one, if I didn't want to cover it, it wouldn't matter because it's gold, and that's what I'm using for spacers. So I'm gonna crisscross the other side of my elastic through that crimp. So you see how it makes a little X there? So I'm just gonna pull it down till it's tight. And then, so the hardest part of beading, I tell people, or learning to bead, is figuring out how to hold things so that you're comfortable. So it'll take you a few tries before you figure out how to hold it comfortably. But what I do is I grab one end between my thumb and my pointer finger on in my left hand, because I'm right-handed, and then I use my ring finger and my middle finger over here to kind of grasp this. And I am well lotioned right now, so I'm a little slippery. I don't know about you, but my hands are dying with all this washing. All right, so hopefully you guys can see that crimp. So now I'm going to use some flat nose pliers. They're just flat on the inside. These are my German Beadsmith pliers. They are fantastic. I have some great beginner pliers. I think they're $7 a pair. These are a little bit more expensive. When it comes to tools, just like most things in life, you get what you pay for. So if you're going to do a lot of beading, I highly recommend a pair of these. They have a really lovely grip to them, and they have the spring inside, like the box spring, and the feel of them is just really nice. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our plier. Now, the way we hold our plier is not like this. See how it's in my fingertips? A lot of people, when they first come and learn how to bead, they hold their stuff like this, and it's like, okay, no, think about physics. You have to hold the tool with your whole hand to get a nice grip. So we're going to hold our tool. We're going to grab that plier, and again, thinking about physics, we don't want to use just the tip of the tool. We want to go into the tool a bit. And then you're going to squeeze straight down. That's all there is to it. So straight down. And then okay, that was here. So now I always turn it this way, and still keeping it flat, keeping it in the tool, I always go back and squeeze it one more time. So then what we can do is, the way to tell if it's crimped properly is to just give it a little tug. And if the elastic kind of slips like this through the crimp, you haven't gotten it closed all the way. So you can then kind of pull the elastic back so that it's tight and give it another squeeze. These crimps are kind of heavy duty. They do take a bit of pressure. But once you're satisfied that it's crimped all the way, you can take a pair of snips, and again, these are going to be on my site as well, and you can cut off your tails right up next to that crimp. You want to make sure that you're cutting the tail, not the actual working thread. Been there, done that. It's an unfortunate thing. So again, if you kind of hold it taut, pull it, you can get a nice crisp snip right up to the crimp. So again, we're going to do this side too. And we just pull and snip. Of course. There we go. All right, so there we go. Super simple, just like that. Now, we're gonna put that crimp cover on. Now, the crimp covers look like Pac-Man. Maybe you can see that. I'm hoping you can see that. So for this, what I use is my Mighty Crimper tool. I actually don't use this tool to crimp. I use it just to put my crimp covers on. So what we're going to do is, you can see the first opening here is kind of it looks kind of like an oval. So when you open this up, it's got the perfect place to put your crimp cover. All right, so we're going to put it so that Pac-Man's mouth is open, going that way. And what I'm going to do is, I'm going to show you with my hands kind of what we're going to do. We're going to take our flattened crimp, and we're going to take our crimp cover, and we're going to slide it in like this. Then we're going to take the crimp and we're going to rotate it 90 degrees. Then we're going to close the crimp cover around the crimp. If you just put it in and don't turn it, you're likely to, when you close the crimp cover, catch the crimp so that half of it, or part of it, will be sticking out. And then it's really hard to like get this crimp cover open and tuck it back in. So if you put it in and turn it 90 degrees, then when you close it, the entire crimp will be covered. So we will go ahead and try that. Now these take some practice. So just like you wouldn't put your kid in front of the piano and expect them to play Beethoven the first time, don't expect to get this the first time. If you do, congratulations, that's awesome. But if it takes you a few tries, you're in good company, because I think it took me a year to figure these out. So we are going to put it in, and then we're going to turn it. So we can see, hopefully you guys can see that it's in there and turned, and then I'm going to gently, 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 gently squeeze with the tool. Then I'm going to take the tool off. And you can see I hope you can see that there's a little opening right there. So what we're going to do is you're going to you want to arrange your tool so that the oval, like the actual curved side of the tool, is up against that opening. And if you can hopefully see that, we're just going to squeeze again, and it will kind of round the whole thing out for you. So just like that. And just like that, we have a finished tool now, or a finished project. Finished bracelet. So I remember I said the proper way to put these on is to not stretch them out to oblivion. So I always tell, especially little kids, make a little duck face, and then you put this on, and then you just roll and open your duck face up, and on it goes. And just like that, you have a finished bracelet. All right, so there's one. So then let's do, again, this is the 1mm elastic, so it needed that big fat crimp. So this bracelet is done on the 0.7. So on this one I used, I think the favorite beads that I carry in the store. They are turquoise, and then they're hand painted with liquid copper. So they melt down the copper and then they paint the beads. And these are new. I've had these for years in different shapes, but the triangles are new and they are just awesome. So they are paired with a matte tiger eye bead in a 4mm, and then I've got little gold spacers in there. So this one will be a little bit easier to crimp because it's the thinner elastic, so we use a thinner or a smaller crimp. So we are going to crisscross the crimp. Crisscross the elastic through the crimp. And sometimes, especially with these small crimps, you need to kind of double up the elastic, like bend it so that it's in a loop. And if you just kind of pull and push your crimp up like that, it skinnies it up in there, so it's a little easier to get the elastic through. So then, again, crisscross through there. We're going to pull tight, and I already measured this on me, so I know that it's good. So we've got it crisscross like that. Again, now we're going to hold it. I hold one end with my thumb and my pointer finger, and then I'm going to hold the other end with my middle and ring fingers. And again, we're going to take our tool, we're going to hold it with our whole hand, and then we are going to get right in there. Again, not right at the very point of the tool, and then we're going to squeeze straight down. And then again, I'm going to turn it, and I'm going to do it the other way. All right, so just like that. Now, here's another little tip. If ever, when you're crimping, you hear your crimp click, or you kind of feel it, instead of squishing straight down like that, if you feel it kind of like slip off to the side like that, and it's hard to explain, but you'll know exactly what I'm talking about when it happens. But if your crimp clicks or slips like that, take it off, throw it out, start fresh. And on the elastic, you want to make sure, I don't know if you guys can see, but there are two little marks, one right there and one right there from where I had the bead stopper on. They kind of indent and eat into the elastic. So you want to make sure that that part does not, one, get crimped, or two, end up in your bracelet because it's compromised. So you always want to keep your bead stoppers way at the end of your cord. Okay, so we are crimped and we're secure. I'm watching it and it's not slipping, so we're good. So now we're going to, again, cut the ends off of here. 1 and 2. Make sure that you're not cutting your working thread because it's awful when that happens. Okay, So then we just need to put our last crimp cover on. Now these are smaller to go over that smaller crimp. This makes a 4mm bead. The one on this blue and black and white bracelet is a 6mm bead. This one is a 4. So what we're going to do is, again, put it in the Mighty Crimping tool like that. And then we're going to feed the crimp in, and we're going to turn it. Sometimes it helps if you kind of poke it with your fingernail or something to turn it in there. But once it's turned, you can gently, gently squish. And then again, we're going to turn the tool so that the curve of the actual tool is up against the opening, and squeeze one more time, and it will round it right out. And there we go. We have 2 completed bracelets just like that. Super simple, and they are not going anywhere. I am pulling hard on that, and it's not going anywhere. Again, pull, we're good. So yeah, there we go. Here's our little tutorial. So again, I will post, let's see, hello again. I will post links to everything we used down below. Tools, again, to go over those, we used a little bead stopper. We used a flat nose plier. We used a wire cutter. We used, so you can see this side is flat and this side kind of goes in. Maybe you can see that it goes in a little bit. I always use the flush side up against the crimp. It gets nice and close in there. So flat nose pliers, wire cutters, then we use the Mighty Crimper that again has those two loops there, or 2 holes there. And then the elastic, which is Stretch Magic, and we carry the 0.7 and the 1mm. So that's that. If you guys have any questions, please ask below. And happy beading. Always happy beading. Thanks, guys.